Spiritual serpent.
Spiritual serpent. I think first thing that comes up for me is someone that looks spiritual on the outside and they make them seem very spiritual by like the way they look, the way they speak, the lingo they use, this persona they have, but underneath.
Had to lift the anchor.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking.
Underneath the mask?
But underneath the mask, there's a lot of darkness and unconsciousness that plays out in relationships and interactions.
And it can sometimes be hard to see.
Yes.
But once you see it. It's like the two-faced witch drawing that looks like just a woman, but then it turns into a witch.
Yeah.
And you never saw the witch version.
Whoa.
But then you looked at it differently and you're like, I will never unsee you.
Uh-huh.
That's
exactly
this hot and cold love, light, like love and dark shadow. Like,
yeah. It's like the yin and the yang almost. Wait, what did you just say? You said
the two-faced witch.
Two-faced witch. But after that,
the witch woman thing, and I don't know.
Okay.
Just kind of like,
yeah, the hot and cold.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. They like, well, depends, right? But I think in the way that we've experienced it recently is just feeling this hot and cold energy of one day I'm super loving, and then when I'm cold, it's like there's this unconscious militia where you feel this like evil eye energy almost of them not having the best intentions, you know?
Fully.
And there's like control and manipulation masked by this spiritual persona.
Yeah. Wow, so I want to get into examples. We'll have to make up examples, but even though we could give many real examples. But also just on this spiritual serpent topic, there's an element where typically it's an unconscious militia that is occurring. It's not necessarily that the being is conscious of it in all cases. There may be cases where they're conscious of it, and I would say that's incredibly like, whoa, that's a form that maybe I haven't fully seen in this life. Mm-hmm. But typically they're unconscious of it because they wouldn't choose to do that if they knew they were doing it. And that's where the serpent is so deceptive, because it kind of nestles its way into the spirit or between the spirit and the human and kind of severs a connection of truth and doesn't really allow the spirit to come through so fully. Instead, a lot of distortions come through. And the human, is unconscious of the activity that's being shot out amongst all the other beings that it's around.
Oof. Yeah, that really resonates. Whoa, my brain just went like blank.
Yeah, I know it happens. I've been 3 times on the podcast I did today with Ben. We were just like, rooted in the spiritual serpent is typically things like control, which could also be defined as power over others, manipulation for gain, for personal gain, recognition, for personal recognition, manipulation. And all of these things tie back to power. And what does the ego want? The ego wants to rule the world. And if it can't rule the world, it also will display itself in many other ways. Like, I'm always right and you're wrong type energy, or things like that. And
when you're around them, there's this sense of superiority. I It's like, whoa, it makes you feel like you're in their lane or you're taking up too much space almost, or feeling like, whoa, like, what am I doing here? Like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like people that aren't aware of this energy might think it's them. They're like, whoa, like, is it just me?
Wow,
Why
this
am
is a
I
really
feeling
good-
weird? Because this has happened to me before I became aware of the serpents in my life. I felt like there was something wrong with me, or yeah, like I was moving through some like shadow parts of myself that were being reflected by the other person.
Yeah.
But to then realize like, no, it's not me.
Why would you think it is you? Like, what comes up? Because, yeah.
For me personally, I'm very like self-critical, and yeah, I just do a lot of internal reflection.
Humble.
Yeah.
High humility.
High humility. I just have high humility. And yeah, before I point fingers, I want to check myself.
Yeah, inward, not outward first.
Yeah, inwards. Because it's easy to point fingers and be like, whoa, this person's doing that to me, or like, I'm going to play victim.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of distortion in that too. So yeah, I check myself first. But after a while, if it keeps happening and then I go into different fields and interact with different people and I don't feel that way, then it kind of becomes this question of, wow, like, okay, I'm just feeling this way when I'm around this person. It's not just everyone, or it's not just me. And then when you have other people that reflect that same thing back to you about maybe that person and how they feel,
yeah,
then you have kind of like validation that that's happening, because
data.
You're getting data because you're getting a reflection from somebody else,
Reflections,
who is having the same experience.
Mm.
So then it's easier to start questioning, like, whoa, okay, like, what is this energy? Clearly it's not me, because I'm doing the introspection, and then I'm also checking myself with my holy company,
sisters,
and
brothers.
sisters, to see if, is it just me? Is it just my projection? Or is there actually something off? And there's actually like a power ego dynamic.
Yes. And
because they're like vampires.
They are like vampires.
They like grab their hooks onto you and like suck your life force away.
Or witches. They cast spells upon you and drain your energy unconsciously. And Rachel said something interesting. She said, I like to sometimes call myself a loving witch, a witch of love. Okay, cool. That's definitely very different than just using the word witch. Because witch we talked about how words hold vibrations. And when you specify with 3 words about something, it's technically 1 word, because it's the calibration of the statement that unifies. And vampires is a great one. Witches, I think, is another one. Spiritual serpent is a kind of definition of all of that. And high humility can lead you to checking yourself and maybe feeling like, wait, I might be the problem. And then as time unfolds, just, oh, actually, this person also felt that. That person also felt. Oh, that person also felt that. Oh, okay, got it.
It's almost like a puzzle.
It is like a puzzle.
Because over time, you get more pieces. They just like come through.
Then you see the picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
incredible.
Yeah, especially if you're in like this micro environment or community where you have where you have these reflections kind of often.
Yeah.
Not like all day, but let's say you're co-living somewhere for like a month or 2.
Yeah.
You're in a micro community and you're just seeing people every single day. You start to get to know them. But like very deeply, because you're literally living in the same area. So it's like, whoa, you're seeing patterns. You're seeing everything.
Yeah.
When you're aware. Sometimes you could just be so in your own space and like not care. But when you're super aware and inwards, you just feel what's going on outside of you.
So, wow, it's almost like the more inward you are, the more outward you can feel.
Totally.
But the more outward you are with your focus and attention, not in all scenarios, but in the scenario I'm trying to reference in my mind is a sense where you could be actually more in your head because you're thinking about what everybody else is thinking. So you're so out of yourself, you can't even be.
Wow, I actually wrote a poem about that today.
Whoa.
Let me share it.
Yeah, I was going to say you should share it. Today?
Yeah.
Did you read this to me yet?
I did.
Oh, wow, amazing. Vizinia, or is this the other poem from the Shala?
This is Vizinia.
Wow, Vizinia.
You spend so much time listening and observing the world outside of you that you forget about the universe that is omnipresent within you. You believe that learning more about the world around you will bring you joy, and for a while it might, but the truest, most everlasting joy comes from turning your energy within. For many, going inwards is a scary thing because they spent a lifetime blinded by the veil. The veil that makes us forget our true nature and the truth of who we are. Because for our whole lives, we are programmed and conditioned to focus outwards. We focus on our looks. We focus on how we are perceived. We focus on how to make the most money, and we focus on what we can do to make it to the top. From the moment we come into this human experience, we are societally conditioned into the rat race without even realizing it. And so all of your energy is directed outside of yourself, taking you further and further away from the truth. You think you're winning, but you're only creating more suffering and a thicker wall of illusion within your own reality. People don't realize this race and constant need for more until it's almost too late. Realizing that their whole life was rooted in consumption and greedy bait. The core of you is love. Every human wants love and peace deep down, even if they can't admit it. And to know that turning your energy within is the way to fulfillment and the deepest truth is the first step and key to remembering your divinity and connection to all that is. Thinking that you need to know more or see more in this world is actually the trap and belief system that keeps you blocked and imprisoned from true liberation and freedom. It's only when you can open the door and step into liberation that you realize you've always been in it. It's never been outside of you. Your kingdom is within. Mic drop.
Amen. That was really beautiful.
It's a deep one.
Yeah, and it's actually funny because it's actually difficult to follow along.
Yeah.
Because you're reading it and it's like, whoa, I need to read that. Whereas what's interesting is in this podcast format, it's so much easier to follow along because we're conversing. So someone feels like they're just in the conversation.
Right.
Whereas like when you're writing, it's like you have such crystal clear clarity that like the clarity's so deep that every word is so important. It's almost harder to like receive unless you read it. You know what I'm saying?
You know, when I was reading it, I honestly wasn't catching everything I was reading. I was kind of just reading it.
Yeah.
I wasn't fully like
and I think
stating the energy of what the statement actually is.
Yes. Yeah, and like in a certain sense it could almost be read more conversationally.
Totally.
But regardless, the potency of it is so like, whoa, it's almost like you need to hear it like 3 times. Which is why it'll be a separate video for all of YouTube, a trailer for this journey.